Here is a tour of my clothing choices for now provisionally for the Wicklow Way, which is commencing on the 21st of July. First steps will be taken. So this is a provisional setup, but you'll get the idea, and it helps me visualize what I'm going to be bringing, what I'm going to be wearing, and other little options for if it gets cold or wet, all of that. So here goes. Volcom boxers, just because that's what I wear every day kind of stuff, and they are synthetic, and got them in TK Maxx, but I just like that wide band as well because I hate boxers whenever that folds up. It's such a pain in the ass. These I wear a lot, just as an everyday thing. They're just a Columbia t-shirt. They're not fully synthetic. I think they're a poly cotton, but they're enough poly in them to dry quickly anyway. So that's going to be that. Fun foundations next to skin kind of stuff. Experimented with these in NG toe socks, but they're the liner ones, so they're super thin, and they would go underneath potentially any other socks that I bring. I've also got the NG proper sock, which I'll experiment with, but I probably won't use the liner with those because I think getting the liner sock into the bigger sock with those toe things I think won't work very well. So, but they will also be used then in conjunction with waterproof socks. These are probably not the waterproof socks that I'm going to be bringing. These are like an ex-military cold weather sealskins, but actually they've been doing the trick so far in my experiments. But I'm actually going to test out some Shein cheap ass waterproof socks that cost about £8 each. And also I've got Bridgedale Storm socks. Bridgedale Storm socks are bulky because I've got the longer ones, so I may actually go with the Shein ones. As far as like walking on the days, I'm either going to go with something like this, just pair of Terex running tights, but I might actually just go with base layers that I have. So I don't know, actually I think these will work totally fine because I'm not just going to wear them on their own. I'll probably wear a pair of shorts over them, so that'll either go over the base layer or it will go over the tights. There's less of a need for it to go over the tights to cover the old package. Probably that's the only purpose for them, and those are probably heavier than the base layer, so actually I think that combo there will work better. And then also, if I'm bringing these, multiple pairs of those, probably 3 pairs, it means I can have a pair to be wearing during the day, a pair for in the tent, and a pair that might be drying after having got wet or getting washed. So yeah, I've got these wee trail gaiters, the Aonji ones. I actually got them at a charity shop. Looks like they haven't been used for a tenner. And they'll go in conjunction with my Ultras. I'm probably going to wear these ones. I do have ones with less cushioning, but the feel, because I'm not that used to zero drop, these are a bit more forgiving than the other ones that I have. So I think realistically I might end up with cranky knees if I wear the others. I'll probably end up with cranky knees anyway, hence why there's OEX, that's the X-Lite carbon walking poles. That's the carbon. It's going to be one of the lighter options for that. I've got this wee running top, fuck Puma, but bought this in TK Maxx, and it's exactly what I was looking for. So like 15 quid, just super light, wind resistant, water resistant, and I'll probably actually have this in my bum bag and be able to pull that out if I need it at any time instead of putting the waterproofs on. So I'll keep the breathability. If I do need to put something on over the top, I got these are incredible, love these, and they were so well discounted as well. Pair of Salewa, who I think are maybe German, Italian Alps type company, but these are a really light soft shell, like super light. So there's a bit of water repellency, but a bit of wind resistance, and they're basically a jogger, so they've cut out a lot of faff, but they also have a zip whoop, and a nice flat band along here, because I find that whenever you're hiking, sometimes the belts and belt loops and all that kind of stuff can cause issues, along with hip belts, etc. So I can fire them on, even if if it's a cooler day, wear them on their own. I've also got these mountain equipment, and these are Gore-Tex Actives, so they're very lightweight, no faff, just very, very basic. A bit of a zip on them for getting them on and off, but had them for years and hardly used them, but I think they'll come into their own on this trip just because they're lightweight. And tops like these I love, they're so good. I think I'm going to use this one and get rid of the others and maybe get another one of these. This is again Salewa, and I got it really well disc. This is like 50 quid, 45 quid thereabouts. Those trousers were 35, and I can't even remember what website it was. Was it Exposed? Maybe. Can't remember. I'll figure that out and maybe put in the description. But these are brilliant. They're so thin. It's just that type of grid fleece. So it's really great for wicking. They dry ridiculously quickly and just takes the edge off even a cool breeze. So I think the combination of that with the wee wind cheater will be mostly what will be used. Sunglasses, rarely use sunglasses because I'm always wearing baseball caps, and keeps the sun out of my face, and the baseball caps are good in the rain for keeping the rain out of your face too. And so I rarely use sunglasses, to be honest, but I might bring them. I've got this wee regatta bucket hat type thing, but it scrunches up and it'll give me a wee bit more head protection if there's sunshine. More likely I'll need my beanie. So I love these wee beanies. They're just from Decathlon. It's that Weds brand. So, and I love some of the colours that they have. So I've got quite a few of those, so it'll just be a colour choice in that regard. These are regatta sandals, flip-flops, but they're fully strapped. They're really, really light. And yeah, it means I can use them as wee camp shoes, let my feet air out if I need to do any river crossings, all that. So it'll just be a nice wee option, and they say they're super light, so no issue as far as weight and bringing them that way. And then probably in my bum bag is a wee Eagle Creek bum bag that I picked up in TK Maxx. Eagle Creek are class brand. Used to sell them for travel gear like about 20 odd years ago, and I always knew they were good quality. So I picked this up in TK Maxx last week for about £15. It's got nice organisation options in there too, and that'll probably contain all the other clothing bits and bobs like a buff and again some waterproof jackets. The neck doesn't come up right up your nose and give you that protection in the rain. And the jacket I'm probably going to go with doesn't, so this will give me in the rain a little bit of an option in keeping the rain off my face a bit. And again, gloves, I just don't like having wet hands whenever especially if I'm using walking poles. Yeah, I just like having that rain not on my hands but on the glove. And these are just a pair of Carrymore ones, probably picked up for about, I don't know, I would imagine at $9.99 or something. Sports Direct. So yeah, that is pretty much the way. Last but not least, that is a North Face mountain jacket, Gore-Tex. It's not the lightest of 3-layer shells, and I do have a Rab downpour, which is in that lightweight market. I don't really trust it, to be honest. So yeah, I do have a Patagonia Torrent shell 3-layer, which I might end up going with. It's basically a lighter version than that Gore-Tex, so but you're talking about 150 gram difference or something. Then for insulation layers, boo, love this brand, High Gloss. Got this in Sport Pursuit. I think it was about £50. Love it. It's Primaloft. Is it Primaloft? No, it's Pertex outer material, polyester basically, but really, really nice. Enjoying wearing this at the minute. Like these wee details, stretch panel under the arm. I love having a chest pocket. This is, for me, that's such a difference, makes such a difference. And there's some sort of silver technology put into this as well, that's helping with the insulation and possibly antibacterial maybe too. I feel the cold a lot. Like ideally I would probably just go with that as my insulation. But I'll probably then bring I picked this up on Depop for 25 quid, an absolute steal. This is a Rab Cirrus Flex, I think they called it. I sell these in the shop I work in for like 150 quid or something, or 120 quid. So this is £25 on Depop, and it's basically the down jacket but with the stretch panels, and it's weighing in about 400 grams. I think that other jacket's about 350. It's either bring both of those or switch this out for something like a Rab Guion, which is like a power stretch, so thicker than the likes of these. Fleece or two puffies, or thinner fleece, then thicker fleece, then puffy, then waterproof jacket. Right, there's a brief tour, and then I'll maybe go through that in a bit more detail, or maybe not. Here's a little final synopsis. So whenever I'm making choices about clothing for things like this, there are some things that help me make decisions or influence the decisions I make. It can be things like a lot, especially with materials. So are they quick drying? Are they breathable? Do they wick sweat? All that kind of stuff. And the general theme is don't wear cotton. That's a no-brainer for me. It just, once it gets wet, which it will if you're walking, and gets loaded, especially if it's t-shirts next to your skin, gets loaded up with moisture, doesn't transport that moisture, stays there, draws heat away from your body. And yeah, and if you're wearing something that's breathable, like a breathable waterproof jacket, you could spend £300 on a waterproof jacket that's breathable. Wear a cotton t-shirt that is not breathable. This is where I think there's a bit of a marketing strategy that has led people to believe in sort of breathability as being something more than what it is, which is moisture transportation. Cotton, when it gets damp, is not transporting moisture, so if you've got a breathable waterproof jacket, it's not going to transport anything because you've already blocked that off at the layer with the cotton. Yeah, and so basically I don't want to be wearing waterproof anything when I'm walking in general. And if it's light drizzly rain, again, I don't really want to be putting the waterproof on unless I have to. So with the waterproof gear, it's always about weighing up whether it's going to actually benefit you and more than not wearing it. So if it is like gloopy, monsoony type rain, waterproof jacket will be on and waterproof trousers. But if it's light mizzly rain, and actually even if it's all day light mizzly rain, I would prefer to walk in something that's the likes of this type of material. It's it's more breathable. There's no membrane in it. There's no coating inside it that's going to stop that. I'd rather walk in the light wind cheater with the soft shell trousers, so like those Salewa trousers. That's what I prefer to be walking in. Other things to consider are things like seams. I like that this has a very flat waistband on it. And especially when that comes, if you're doing a day walk, it's not a big issue. Wearing a light pack, not a big issue. But things like seams can become really problematic. So when it comes to the likes of like t-shirts, it's things to think about are, like, this is not a technical t-shirt, and ideally I'd be wearing a tech tee, which would have offset shoulder seams. That seam runs right along the top of that. Now, I've not had any issues, and I have hiked the knees quite a lot, but it's quite a small, thin seam. But if that's a chunky, bulky seam, recently I wore a top that had a thick side seam on it, and again, a technical top might actually have offset seams at the hip down the side. If you've got a hip belt pushing against you on your hip, a thick seam can really cause a lot of pain. Same with, say, base layers or underpants, or if it is a base layer like long john, check out the actual waistband on it. A lot of base layers are made for different things, different pursuits, different activities, and I've found that you can buy ones that are designed for skiing or not to be used for hiking, and the waistbands are quite chunky and thick, and they might actually crinkle up and cause issues that way. So those are the types of things I'm thinking about. So the footwear thing, again, wearing waterproof boots, there's a lot of issues wearing waterproof things in general. Waterproof boots, water gets in, water doesn't get back out again. Water probably will get in if it's wet enough. Even wet grass will brush moisture into socks, and the socks will capillary the water down into your boots, or brush it into the top of the boot, and that lining of the boot will then pull it down as well. So it's almost like an inevitability, even if something is waterproof. Again, if it's a day hike, not a big issue. But for multi-day things, this is where I'm going to try this out, which is lightweight. These are going to be much more comfortable to wear anyway. So yeah, carrying less weight on your feet makes a big difference. Decent enough tread is a big thing to make sure you've got the tread for the rough terrain. You've got a wee bit of cushioning on them, enough that I'll need, but there's no membrane in this. It's going to stop the airflow, and using that in conjunction with either regular socks if it is dry, regular hiking socks. And again, don't use cotton, something with a blend of materials, either synthetic, all polyester, or wool. A lot of companies like Bridgedale will blend wools with polyesters, and the wool's not necessarily for heat, but it's to do with durability and to do with wicking moisture. I haven't, and I would wear socks that have wool blends, but my recent experiment with merino tops, I've just decided I don't like them as much as the synthetic tops that I have. It's not anything against merino, but I feel like it's heavier. In general, if it gets wet, it's heavier than the synthetics that I have. So I just, personal choice. I'm not going to go with merino. So yeah, those are just some of the thoughts that I have that help me make decisions whenever I'm on trail. Like having these little ankle gaiters is just to stop grit getting in the top of shoes, especially if you're wearing a waterproof sock. Leaving like a bit of grit inside your shoe can then damage your waterproof socks. So it's partly to do with that, as well as like just the hassle of having to take your shoes off and shake grit out. So they're useful in that regard. And it's the same with waterproof boots. If you do have waterproof boots, make sure if you do get a bit of grit inside there, or a waterproof shoe, take them off, take that grit out, and otherwise it cannot wear through and put a hole in your waterproof membrane in the boots. So yeah, those are just some thoughts. As far as waterproof jacket, like this is not probably the ideal as far as lightness, but I trust it. I've used it. It doesn't have a high neck on it, chin on it. So again, I might switch that out anyway, but I'll bring like a little buff neck gaiter type thing, which I can then pull up over the top, over my nose if I need to, just to take away the uncomfortableness of driving rain in my face. So yeah, those are just some thoughts about choosing clothing for a long distance hike or multi-day hike. Say one of the main things is just keep it synthetic or merino wool, because merino wool does transport. It's a natural material, but does transport moisture in the way that cotton does. And obviously pack size would be a thing as well, and the weight of things. I've got a Rab waterproof jacket that is great. It's solid. It's a real mountain jacket. It's going to protect you from the rain brilliantly, but it weighs 650 grams, something like this, which is a 3-layer Gore-Tex. So it's just the shell. There's no lining, there's no mesh lining, no drop lining with pockets inside it, which all adds weight. This is weighing in at about just over 500 grams, whereas the Patagonia Torrent shell 3-layer, there's no faff to it, and it's 400 grams. So it's coming into the lightweight type territory. So yeah, weight, material, packability, dryability, all that.